Roughly 8 months ago, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial was at its peak. On both YouTube and Twitch, the trial was unavoidable. Many of the biggest internet personalities were doing regular coverage of the trial, like Pokimane and Asmongold. The demand to watch this train wreck unfold with your favorite streamer was high. This precedent in media has been made clear many times before, but for the streaming community, it's now undeniable. Celebrities are fair game.
I want to go live because this is what pain looks like. This is what it looks like. If you are able to look at women who are not selling themselves or benefiting off of...
In my opinion, this clip of Ethan Klein laughing at QTC kind of brings things full circle. I think this is the perfect time to evaluate where the entertainment industry has been headed. Rampant celebrity culture has been a thing for a while, but the concept of what a celebrity is has changed. So, what's different? When you're watching a TV show or a movie, you don't really have an opportunity to interact with the actors. There were still the desperate fans who were quite literally willing to throw themselves at celebrities, but the potential for communication wasn't built into the medium. Not only has the internet changed audience interaction, but also how people rise to fame in the first place. For example, traditionally, to enter the world of modeling, you would need to get headshots, create a portfolio, find a modeling agency, maybe even go to modeling school. But now, the opportunity for fame is on your phone. This means there are far more people to compete with. With more and more people comparing themselves to others and competing for attention, I think it's safe to say that neuroticism is up. Another big difference between old celebrity culture and new is the content itself. The content is getting shorter and often more personable. These days, there seems to be a greater emphasis on engagement rather than creativity. For example, Ludwig and a bunch of other creators could put a lot of time, money, and effort into making a single episode of a game show. Or Ludwig could just exist live on Twitch for 30 days straight with hardly any planning or consideration. Speaking of Ludwig's subathon, this New York Times article actually has some pretty good insight on parasocial culture. Ludwig's stream, no, I'm not pronouncing that, can be seen as an extension of the trend of creators monetizing more and more parts of their lives, from daily decisions on what to eat or where or to who they should hang out with. No matter what time of day you tune in, his stream is up and running, and you'll see many familiar faces in chat. Nathan Grayson, a gaming reporter, wrote at Kotaku, "It's only been running for 3 days, but it already feels like comfort food." It was this type of comfort and connection that Mr. Seaver said drew him in. Even though the content of the stream might not be particularly special, it's the fact you're all a part of this community, watching this really rare event, he said. You get to watch Ludwig's entire life for days. It's not great for him, but you get so much content out of it, and you get that you, as a community, got together and were able to see this thing happen. Ludwig has talked a little bit about parasocial behavior, but that was 2 years ago and the conversation has not continued whatsoever. It seems like the streaming community only went as far as to acknowledge parasocial behavior, not understand it or try to correct it. And why would they try to correct it? That's where their money comes from. That's where their fame comes from. Here's another article from about 2 years ago. For creators, everything is for sale. Courtney Smith, the founder and chief executive of Nunu, said the company was similar to the stock market in that you can buy shares, which are essentially votes, to be able to control a certain level of a person's life. We're building an economy of attention where you purchase moments in other people's lives, and we take it a step further by allowing and enabling people to control those moments. So if you're a content creator and you think you might break up with your significant other, monetize it by turning it into a decision for your audience. Even though Ludwig's subathon isn't this egregious, he's still selling himself. He's still selling his privacy. If Ludwig were the only one running his brand like this, then it probably wouldn't make that big of a negative impact. But these problems go far beyond Ludwig. It's representative of the Twitch platform as a whole. One of the most common things I hear about Twitch is, if you don't already have a following, you're wasting your time there. For a while, Twitch didn't really have an algorithm. It would just show everyone the most viewed streams on their homepage. Apparently this was updated last year, but it's still based off engagement and streamer rank, so I don't see how that's really much of a change. This shifts the creative focus from artistic merit to popularity. While this can be said about most social media and media in general, Twitch is especially devoid of creativity. Streams like watching Avatar, watching MasterChef, and reading my Twitter feed highlight Twitch's demand for quantity over quality. I know Twitch enforces copyright, but that doesn't change the fact that these TV shows were notable parts of the Twitch meta. Since Twitch is exclusively a streaming platform, it's more likely on Twitch that a viewer base will look for a parasocial connection.
You're horn dogging it in The Sims. Everybody knows it.
No. My chat doesn't really get out a lot is the thing, and it just makes them feel like a part of something.
Wait. Your chat doesn't
my
get around
chat
a lot.
again.
So you're trying to show them
Yeah.
as education?
Yes.
So if you spend more effort on catering to a parasocial audience than creative integrity, then you can't be all that surprised when a big portion of your audience is overly attached to you.
I think at the end of the day, most people kind of get it, you know? Like most people just kind of watch it. Maybe they pull some personality traits, or maybe they just come for a laugh and then they leave and that's it. But some people, you know, this is for you. Make sure at the end of the day that you're just watching to watch, you know, for fun, for a laugh, to escape reality for a moment, but then you go right back into it, all right? And you need to work on your life.
It doesn't really matter when people like Ludwig call out parasocial behavior, especially in such a surface level way. It's like McDonald's trying to tell you to eat right. It's a contradiction. And you may think that comparing the negative health impact of McDonald's to Twitch is a bit overboard. But we know that streaming constantly isn't good for you, being in a parasocial relationship on either side isn't good for you, and the unforeseen consequences. For example, the deepfake situation with Atrioc. Alright, as briefly as possible, this is the deepfake situation. Apparently, AI technology has been developed to the point where it can make suggestive and explicit material of other people. Atrioc, a streamer close to Ludwig, paid for this content and accidentally showed that he did so, live on stream. While the deepfakes are unethical, in my opinion, there's a far more interesting question to be asked. Do streamers objectify themselves? I think, in many cases, yes. For example, Ludwig's subathon, which I said earlier, is basically him just selling his privacy and viewership to his daily routine. That is objectifying yourself. A good rule for streaming and for life is, the more you make it about yourself, the worse it gets. Making your stream more about you will prime your audience for parasocial behavior. A perfect example of this is Pokimane.
I really want the best for you guys. And the best involves taking care of yourselves. And the reason a lot of streamers won't tell you is because they want you to spend all your time in their chat. Because that's what's beneficial for us and for them. It's beneficial for us if you guys are addicted to Twitch 24/7. You're on it all the time. But that's not what I actually want for you as a fellow human being. I want it to be like a fun thing that you watch sometimes, but that for most of your time, you are building out a life for you that is healthy and exciting and that you look forward to, and that you are building real relationships. And it takes time and effort to do that. It's not just sitting watching someone for 10 hours a day, in essence, live their life.
For every chat like Ludwig's, there are thousands of others where a single message can make an impact. Rather than calling them parasocial, the relationships formed in these communities are better described as symbiotic.
Ooh, I like
Sometimes
this.
it's nice to feel like you're a part of an intimate community, and other times it's nice to be a part of the swarming mass, to feel like you're a part of something bigger.
Whatever Pokimane has to say about parasocial behavior is completely overshadowed by her business model. Addressing this situation 2 years ago in the most sugar-coated way possible is not going to help anything.
And it's hard not to feel hypocritical, but also, I don't know, it feels like my perspective on things is constantly changing. And it also feels like a difficult line to toe when, like, I am of the type that is more caring, and like I genuinely have love for especially all the like really, really sweet, kind-hearted people that I see in my chat. Like some of y'all that I see frequently or see tweet, like I can tell you are good people and like I have love for you. But does that mean that like I love you or I'm your BFFL or like I'm gonna actually I'd be kind of down to show up at your wedding just for memes. That could be kind of fun. But like, you know, like I'm not someone that you can genuinely count on me in that way, and you should really be trying to form relationships in your life with people that can do that for you.
If anything, the most parasocial people in her audience are only going to hear the "I have love for you" part. You can encourage people to go outside and to make real friends all you want. But if you're ultimately providing and profiting off of an alternative to real friendship, then your words don't mean anything. There's also the issue of over-moderation in chat.
What is this? Valorant is not good content if you don't. You have shock darts. You have this. Why don't you 5-stack with Immortal Smurfs? Why don't you? Why do you start anime? Babe, if you want to interview me, go get a go get a journalist degree and then hit up my business emails. It's weird behavior. It's just really weird behavior, and you need to stop. And I know it might be easier to pinpoint or point out every little thing about my life that you disagree with instead of taking a look at your own and figuring out what the you want to do, or what you feel so inadequate that you can't even look at your own life and instead you're so focused on mine. This is very unhealthy for you. It's a waste of your time. You're not bettering yourself in any way.
Sure, this guy was being a little bit rude in chat. But if he feels so inadequate he has to focus on Pokimane's life to ignore his own faults in his own life, what is the rest of Pokimane's chat doing? Like what? The people who are praising Pokimane in chat aren't wasting their time and they are actually improving their lives somehow? Give me a break. She then goes on to talk about how heavily moderated and how clean her chat is.
Stop giving attention to trolls. I also don't like this take. I personally, imagine the amount of people I ban. Do you think I respond to all of them? No. But I do love to use certain people as an example to teach everybody else how to be a good Twitch chatter. Someone needs to make a guide on this, I swear. But the reason that I use them as an example is because I want to make my chat culture very, very clear. I want to make it very clear what I think is okay or isn't.
It is her Twitch channel, so she can do whatever she wants with it, but I'm still allowed to criticize her. I think trying to force a certain kind of behavior or attitude on your audience is one of the most counterproductive and disgusting things you can do as an entertainer. As an entertainer, it is your job to be perceived by the audience however the audience pleases. If you want to control what people do, say, and think, I recommend going into politics and propaganda. But hey, I guess this is why the term influencer is so alluring to certain people. The language she uses here is controlling, saying things like she loves to use people as an example to teach everyone how to be a better Twitch chatter, and someone needs to make a guide for this. The person that she had to shame for like 2 or 3 minutes as an example really wasn't all that out of line though. It was just somewhat annoying critique on what games she plays and how she plays them. If she honestly thinks that somebody like this needs some sort of online reform or training or a guide, then she's insane. But I guess if you're one of the most popular streamers with one of the most heavily moderated chats, your standard for how people should treat you and perceive you is going to be way out of whack. Imagine picking apart somebody's life for 2 minutes because they didn't like the fact you're playing Valorant, in front of however many thousands of people, mind you. This is the epitome of petty. Honestly, while watching too much Pokimane for this project, there was one person who kept coming to mind. Wings of Redemption. I admit, their branding probably couldn't be any more different from each other. But in terms of the content and the quality of that content, it's actually pretty similar. They're both streamers who play FPS games. They both have a Mean Girls thing going on, and I don't think either of them would admit it. And the most interesting parts of both of their streams is when they lash out at their chat.
Here, let me be perfectly clear with this. If you don't try to help here and you want to make a funny comment, you will be banned at this point.
If you are a consistent bad vibe, we don't want you at this party. That's it.
The biggest difference is the Wings stream has a disaster element, which, in my opinion, is far more interesting than the stale mediocrity of Pokimane. There's also the difference in audience. Wings has more trolls and Pokimane has more simps. While Wings failed at trying to control and moderate his audience, Pokimane succeeded. I understand that sometimes there is somebody in chat causing enough trouble to warrant a ban, but if you over-moderate, you will only cultivate the most agreeable and parasocial audience. As an entertainer, as a supposed artist, the last thing you want to do is surround yourself with yes-men. And that's a common theme with some of the biggest streamers. Many of them do not want to be challenged by their audience or by their peers. The difference between the way they talk about and profit off of other people's drama and the way they handle their own drama is quite telling. Asmongold profited from live streaming the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, then implores his audience that Rich Campbell doing the dirty isn't drama.
This is not drama. This is not getting canceled. These are crimes. I don't want people to go in and call this is drama. It's not drama. This is serious. It is as serious as it gets.
Because those could be actual crimes, nothing like the court case of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Pokimane profited from live streaming the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. But if you look at her suggestive profile picture as suggestive, then you're part of the problem, I guess?
Every now and then I'll hop up on Twitter and I see the most embarrassing stuff. Me saying, stop sexualizing people without their consent. The reply.
Is this your profile picture?
Yeah. Luckily, you have people replying like, how is her profile picture sexual? I think you're missing something. The fact you think this is sexual is very telling.
So just remember, it's not okay to look at Pokimane, a streamer, in a certain way, but if you want to profit off of the most tumultuous period of certain people's lives, that's totally cool. Ludwig profited from live streaming the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. After the Atrioc deepfake drama, Ludwig takes issue with people profiting off of others without their consent, which, unless he asked Amber Heard or Johnny Depp for their permission, is exactly what he did.
Not only are these women not consenting, somebody is profiting off of them. And they're not consenting. Crazy.
And sure, these are different situations with different circumstances, but profiting from somebody else's court trial is incredibly perverse and contributes to the same celebrity culture that the deepfake situation arose from. Hassan Piker profited from live streaming the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. When Andrew Callahan was confirmed as a creep, Hassan discourages his audience from thinking this is some sort of problem with celebrity culture or Twitch.
Whenever I cover these sorts of things, whether it be someone I know or someone I don't know, when people go, oh, it seems like there's a lot of people who are doing this sort of thing in this avenue, in Twitch, or whatever, right? What you also always need to take into consideration is that this is not just happening on Twitch, or this is not just happening in this circle. It's happening it's happening in every circle, in every facet of existence.
Which is weird, because people like Hassan are usually the first to bring up power dynamics, but I guess not when it's power dynamics relating to the field they're working in. It gets really hard to take these people seriously when they hold their audience to a higher standard than they are able to hold themselves. I think it's important for big streamers to think about what they may have contributed to the current direction of celebrity culture, but it seems like a good number of them have the maturity level somewhere between a preschooler and a frat boy. For example, Mizkif joking about a cover-up and then his apology. Mizkif of OTK was possibly involved with a cover-up of his friend Crazy Slick's dirty deeds. I'm of the opinion that the cover-up did happen, but I digress. What Mizkif wound up apologizing for was this joke about the situation, or rather, I think he apologized for this entire stream, but this was probably the worst part.
Now, this is a tattoo artist who talks about how good he is at cover-ups, specifically with bad tattoos.
I am a master at cover-ups and reconstruction.
Me too, for 4 years.
Excuse me?
I think this will not look good like this.
My behavior on that stream was absolutely unacceptable. I communicated almost everything terribly, and I was completely tone deaf to such a serious situation. I could talk about how I'm going to do everything differently, but I'd rather just prove it to you guys through better behavior overall and better content. That's really all I wanted to say. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'm sorry for such a long wait for a response.
If he follows through with this, that's good. But I think there was about a 2-week window between the time when the Crazy Slick story broke and Mizkif's October comeback stream. And sure, maybe 2 weeks isn't quite enough time to read the room on a situation like this, which seems weird but okay. But there was another comeback stream, which must have been in November or December, which was a Twitch Plays Pokimane. While he wasn't directly insensitive to the cover-up situation this time, it definitely doesn't seem like he's learned much. I mean, Ethan Klein's tried to convince his audience that his character has progressed and he's gone woke for like the last 5 years, and he still manages to offend them all the time. I just don't buy that Mizkif's character is going to change anytime soon. Whenever there's an apology like this, I struggle more and more to take it at face value. Not only is the streaming community becoming more and more reminiscent of Hollywood, these apologies are starting to come off as parodies of themselves. Especially with the Atrioc apology, that one's always good for a laugh. Speaking of childish adults, let's circle back to Ethan Klein laughing at QTC. QTC is crying because the deepfake site that Atrioc went to had suggestive material of her as well. There's something that Ludwig, QTC's boyfriend, says about the situation that I think is worth noting.
My girlfriend and many other women pay sometimes thousands, tens of thousands of dollars a month just to make sure that like random photos of them being realized are not on the internet. They pay money, which is not part of their job description, just so that it doesn't exist.
So there is and has been a demand for this kind of material of popular streamers. I'm gonna take a wild guess here. I don't think it's the 50-year-olds who have never heard of QTC looking up explicit material of QTC. It's far more likely that it's the people in and around her community. So the people in her chat and people like Atrioc. QTC goes on to say that she doesn't think the adult entertainment industry is in any way at fault for the deepfake situation.
Also, is not the problem. I saw a lot of people like blaming isn't the problem. I would like to make that very clear.
I think this take is a bit naive. It is far easier for males being raised in today's society to go find explicit content rather than seek out a healthy physical interaction. If they get most of their social interaction from adult content and social media, they will be primed to objectify women. After all, the women that they'll have the most access to, the women that they feel most comfortable with, are the ones who are objectifying themselves on the internet. This, combined with the current state of celebrity culture, could ultimately lead to a generation of mass social ineptitude. You know, if it hasn't already. Celebrity is a mask that eats into the face. I think with how quickly modern celebrity culture is progressing, that's true now more than ever. The line between actor and character used to be a lot more clear, but the line between a streaming personality online and the person behind it offline is far blurrier. And it seems for many viewers, that's the appeal. The more you make it about yourself, the worse it gets. Alright, shout out to the best subscriber squad in all of YouTube. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Well, congratulations. You're officially a better person than me.
No, not better. Just a little less spoiled.